I am very excited to introduce SearchInform today to you. Andre is our technical head for South Africa and I'm the MD at SearchInform for the MD of the SearchInform office in South Africa. And we're very excited to be presenting SearchInform in Africa. You will enjoy the presentation. It's totally something new. So yeah, let's start. Just a bit of background on SearchInform. The company has been in data leakage monitoring for the past 12 years, but already been a company for the last 23 years. We've got 17 branch offices worldwide. We're very excited about it and continuously opening new ones. So yes, we are growing, and yes, Africa can make use of this awesome technology and ensure that their risks are covered. So let me, with no further ado, step into the presentation. Now, one of the main risks, any main corporate risks, is the internal risk, human factor risks, technology risks, physical risks. These risks can be forecasted, it can be reduced. Then there's also external risks, economy, natural risk, and political risks, which we can't control as businesses, right? We just have to live with it. So, but we're going to talk about the internal risks, and that's why you have decided to join me in this presentation and webinar this morning. So we're going to talk about the human factor, technology, and physical risks. Why is it important to really start looking at the internal risks in companies? We need to start controlling what's going on in our businesses. Traditionally, and still today, which is very important, security is important. We secure our perimeters, we make sure that our antiviruses and normal security, IT security are up to date. But then there's a few other risks that's not so obvious, and that is what I'm going to talk to you about today. And it's about the insider risk. People do different things. Your employees might steal your information. They might lure your clients away. They might quit all of a sudden. Or they might accept kickbacks, which we know is bribery and corruption in Africa. Or they can sabotage you. They can spy on you. And that's something that's becoming more and more. A competitor can put an employee in your company without you knowing, and then they can spy and send that information out. And how do you control that? Very important to think about these things. So how do we protect ourselves from this? By taking control of our information, by making sure that we know what the people are doing and looking after our sources. So I'm going to talk about risk and compliance management this morning, and fraud monitoring, incident handling and monitoring of possible risk, the retrospective approach to risk management, and then there's the exciting side, which I'm always very excited about, the human factor control, the forensic suite, which is very important when you go further down the line and you have to prove cases and start managing your business. Okay, companies are trying to prevent risk in order not to lose money. We call it money loss prevention, and you will be surprised how money is slipping through the cracks in your business. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not so obvious. We are very focused on sales channels, growing the business, but in the meantime, a lot of the information is just leaking through other channels which you don't know about. So we're going to talk about it, and that will give you economic security and integrity. So most internal risks are related to the human factor. And some of the reasons why employees are motivated to harm a company is because they live in your company for maybe a better salary. They might want to harm you because they're upset with you, they're disgruntled with you. They might violate your rules unconsciously. Now I'll use the example there. I might be on my way to a client quickly, and I promise one of my sales colleagues to send them an email with the price list or the quick proposal, and we all know how it works on email. There's a drop-down box, and I clicked on Andre. And there's more than one Andre, and I didn't see it because I was in a hurry. And I sent the list out to the outside of the company, to somebody who was not supposed to see the proposal. Now it's open. And now if the company sees that, risk managers got a problem, because I go to you and I speak to you and I say to you, it was really, really just an accident. And you say, no, 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 this was malicious. How do you prove it? How do you know it was really an accident or how it was not? And we're going to talk about a bit about that. And the other thing is that some employees commit crimes within the organization because of these circumstances. And circumstances is like including people know you're working for a serious financial company organization, and they know you sit in a very strategic position, and now they start blackmailing you, knowing where your children are or your family, and if you don't do what they say and share with them the data, they will go pick up your children, and that is not an empty threat anymore. We all see that's happening nowadays. So that's just in a nutshell why employees do that, and obviously there's a lot of more reasons why employees do what they do. So let's talk about that. So money loss prevention, and this is my favorite part, is where does your information leak through? And that's all the channels. I'm just going to mention a few because otherwise I will keep you busy the whole day. But just quickly, let's look at a few of them by seeing that people print stuff. People share it over HTTP or HTTPS through Gmail. They download it on a memory stick. They make a photo of it. They share it by Skype. They share it out of mail. So you can imagine or they just go and dump it in the cloud and then they share it later. So you can imagine all these leaks. So a lot of the solutions are these great solutions. The problem is you don't have a holistic view of what's going on around your organization if you can't see all of that and start doing implementing the monitoring and get the anomalies going. So I'm just going to go a bit in a few of these and give a few examples around this. And we're all familiar with the normal DLP, which I'm quickly going to talk about. A lot of companies are doing it and they're doing it very well. So data, and we also call it in our solution data loss monitoring, because I think that's important, and I'll get back to that. But the normal DLP, I don't need to say lots about that. You guys know that is data leakage prevention. Prevention is that you can mark a document as confidential and you can go and store it. And the moment somebody is trying to send it out through their mail channel, obviously that document will be stopped in its tracks. So when I started learning more about SearchInform, the first questions I asked them was, well, data leakage prevention, we all want to stop it before it happens. And I had a very insightful answer from them why we do the monitoring and not always stopping everything. Is that, and the reason for that is, if we can't track what is going on in our environment, we can't pinpoint why that person sent it to that person and how did it leave the company. You can't form a picture. You can't gather evidence. Then you've got a problem, because if you go to court, you don't have an answer for this. It might be, I could just say, well, it was accidental. But meantime, if you go and look at my whole environment, you will see, well, I mailed it there, I spoke to this person there, I put it in the cloud on my own machine, it's a document that I'm not allowed to have. So, and we could go through this 1,000 times of how this happened and why it's so important to monitor it. So if you can start completing the picture of what's really going on, then you obviously will understand why we say part of it is data leakage prevention. Yes, we can stop documents, but what about the rest? That's a quick one on DLP. Then we need to speak a bit about corporate fraud detection. And I think that's a challenge for all risk and fraud managers as well as auditors in companies. What about I'm going to give you real life examples around that, is a person is sitting in accounts, they don't need Photoshop, it's not part of the portfolio, maybe if they were marketing they did need Photoshop, and it's been downloaded onto their machine. Now, one of the scenarios that did happen is that in a big retail company, anomaly happens, the risk management starts seeing a lot of anomalies and why, and they start asking questions around this lady. What she did is she downloaded Photoshop and she modified quotes. So what happens, a friend of her was outside the company and it was for stationery. And her friend, obviously every time the proposal needs to be handed in, it's under a certain amount of money. Like in South Africa, if it's under 500,000K, 500K, then we could just do a quote, for example, in our government. So they need 3 quotes. So what she did is a very similar scenario. She used that tool, the Photoshop, and when she got her friends and then she got 2 others. And when she got the 2 other proposals from competitive companies, she went onto Photoshop, she modified the amounts on Photoshop, and she printed it and she took it to the financial manager and he looked at the quotes quickly. He's a very busy man. And as usual, he just quickly checked the basic stuff and said, oh, that's the cheapest one. And he kind of signed off on that. She placed the order with a friend and they share the profit. And a lot of money has leaked out of the company because they could manipulate and increase what the customer was supposed to pay. Then we can talk about more local stuff. We all know about the Steinhoff thing that happened. It's a bad thing for our country. It's a bad thing for the employees of Steinhoff. It's a bad thing for international partners of Steinhoff. If they could have spotted what is going on within the organization at that time and period, they could have started doing something about it, not only after the fact. So there's a lot of reputational risk going with corporate fraud, and it's got a ripple effect on everybody, from the company to the individuals working there, to the employees, to their vendors, internationally, to the country, if it's a listed company like Steinhoff. And then I don't need to speak a lot about the leakage that happened recently in the South African government. We all know that a lot of information has leaked out. If they knew about it, if they could see what's happening, we could have saved face and do the right things at the right time, right? So let's move on. So what are we doing? Our objective is to monitor our employee activities, the productivity. So it's also a business tool. It's not just a security tool. So just another way of where information can leak out, money can leak out of your business is, I'm going to use another scenario. One person play, and I'm not going to mention computer games names because I'm not an advertiser. So a person is playing an online game and it's fun and he enjoys it and he spends most of the day playing on this game. Then he tells a colleague, you should try out this game. Let's play it, and it's not a lunchtime thing anymore. It becomes like whenever they got a chance, when the boss walks in, they just flip the screen. So, and eventually the whole company starts playing it. Can you imagine where you lose money? It's the productivity sours entirely in the company. You cannot understand why all these things happen in this company, because you don't have any view of these games that these people are playing. And unfortunately, people are very fast on keyboards now, so they can flip screens very quickly. It's very important to start knowing what your employees are doing with them time. And although a lot of people will say, they will feel that I micromanage, well, you can choose. You can either start micromanage. I don't see it as micromanage at all. I see it as I'm protecting my company. So, and it also, there's a positive side to it as well, if you want to look at that, is when you know when people are doing what they're doing. If I'm working in a department and I'm really snowed under, and I walk to you and I sit and you call me in and you say to me, well, Urina, you need to get through this work. Why can't you get through this work, etc., etc.? And I sit there and I say to you, well, you know what, I need help. I just can't get through my work. And then you say to me, but you have to get through work. And I said, but I can't. You don't understand, I can't. With this program, now you can go and see, what do I spend my time on? Do I really spend a lot of time on the work? Do I really need another resource? Or am I on the half of the day on Facebook or on the internet watching videos, etc.? So from that perspective, you can now decide whether you need to employ somebody else, or do you need to tell me to start, pulling up my socks and start producing what you're paying me for. And that's a very important thing, because most often we know resources are expensive. So if you're just going to appoint a new resource, 6 months later you're going to appoint another resource, because it becomes like a cancer-free organization. People keep on doing this because they are not monitoring. It also helps you a lot with your KPIs and your KPAs. Instead of, and I had a scenario in my organization where we had to do this, and the person walked into my office and he said, well, I'm giving myself full points for this. And I said, well, you can't, nobody's perfect. And he said, well, prove me wrong. If I had the system at the time, I would have just get the reports. But then I just realized, we waste each other's time. But then anyway, so let's move on. Sorry. The other thing that's very important with the system, you can also start measuring your employees' moods. And how do we do that? You will see when people's moods are going down. We see it in passages. We hear it around the coffee can. We hear it in the cafeterias that people are unhappy. Now with this system, you can see, because people aren't so loud anymore and they don't spend so much time in the cafeteria anymore. Even if people go to a restaurant, they sit there and type on their phones. So now you will see with the chats, instant messaging, so what they are doing, what are they discussing, So it's important to know these things, because you can measure if something's really going wrong in your company or whether you have to do something about it. And also you can start looking at if there is a potential strike coming on, that you can prevent that, because if you know what the problem is, you can address the problem. But if you only hear about the problem when the people are outside starting a riot and happy strike everything, it's too late already. Now you have to remedy it afterwards, while you could have been preventative up front. So it's very important to understand the people around you and understand their moods. It also is very important from the sense that if a person is really unhappy in your company, but it's really a very important resource in your organization, maybe you should go and address it with him, have a chat with him, have a coffee session with him, and just say, I'm seeing that you're not very well lately, and it's so easy because the system shows you these things. And that's what making me so excited. And you don't always have to lose these resources because of some incident that I'm happy about. So the other thing that is very important that the system does, it's monitoring the software and the devices. So if you don't know what's going on inside your organization by looking at what software is loaded, what data is copied, what memory sticks are used, plugged into your machine, what data has been downloaded, you've got a problem. And there's an interesting story where a huge company bought 300 hard drives, and they were going to install it. So the financial director signed off on it, and they were supposed to install it. But when they run the system, they only saw let me say 100 was installed, for example, and the other 200 was gone, and they saw that the other 200 was actually sold, and people made money out of that. So it's a little bit of asset management as well, where you can see what's going on. You can also see what's going on all the devices, what they are copying. People, when they want to resign or leave the company, it's not something they decide right this moment, I'm sitting here and now I'm going to resign. Usually what they do is they know ahead that they are going to resign. And then what happens is that they start collecting information. They don't do it on the day that they hand in their resignation, because now people are much more aware of what they are doing. So they do it way beforehand, and then they resign, and they're very relaxed because they already got the data. And the system shows you what they did take from your company, which otherwise you would not know. Then there's also the data encryption, where you can actually encrypt confidential data. Now, people, well, I want to say sometimes we are just lazy or we're forgetful, if I put it very softly, where if you got confidential information, you can enforce the system. If I put a memory stick into my computer, that the moment I open that file and I want to download it to that memory stick, you can enforce encryption on that memory stick immediately. It will also do data, it will also flag the data that you will copy to that memory stick. So it's an important thing, especially nowadays where people do copy stuff to memory sticks and then they lose the memory stick, and people are so quick to just plug that into a computer and see what's on there. And especially when you're talking about customer lists and data, if we want to comply with GDPR and we want to comply with POPI in South Africa, we better start looking at our data and how we make it safe through data encryption. Okay, and then we do a bit of web filtering as well. Not a bit, you see a lot of information on the system. We monitor people's web browsing. We can see, and why do we do that? We can see what they are doing. We want to know more about the individual. It's a bit more about the human interaction and doing the right things here. So you can monitor what people are doing on web browsers. And a good example from a business point of view, if you put me in accounts and I'm actually a marketing and sales person, which I am, I will be most probably a lot on video cams and YouTube and those type of scenarios, or even on the net and reading about motivational stuff, reading about marketing, and here I'm sitting in the corner trying to do accounts because that is the job I could find. You could most probably move me into sales and marketing, and you will have so much more productivity and value out of me by putting me in the right place. And especially nowadays, we all know our employment rates are very low. People will take any kind of job just to have an income. Now, instead of just putting me in the wrong space, after a while you can see what's really my interest, and you can start growing with me and promote me and help me to grow into that sales or marketing person, for example. And the other side, you can also see when people start looking for jobs. You're going to lose a resource because they're constantly searching for jobs. Why are they? You don't want to lose that resource. It's a very key resource. It's a very important person. We invest a lot of money into employees when we appoint them and when we train them and when we grow them, and then all of a sudden they leave and they go to the competitor. So it's better to be preventative around that. And then it also helps you to understand users' interests, and it's a good conversational thing as well. So it's very important to look at those things from a business point of view. Now, what's very interesting and what's probably more important to you guys is the anomalies that happens, and where risk and fraud management is extremely important. The system will show you, and let me explain it to you, and you will see when Victor does the demonstration for you, that you can build your own reports. There is pre-built reports already, but you can build your own reports. And what it does, it gives you a alert when there's an anomaly going on. So, for instance, abnormal behavior detection happens when a person working at your company all of a sudden start copying a lot of data. They just copy and copy and copy. What are they copying? Why are they copying it? What type of data are they copying? You don't see it now. How are you going to know? Which machines, which servers are they copying from? So, or they start printing, and they're printing, and they're printing. Okay, it might be a school project that they're printing the kids' school project at your office, but imagine how much it's going to cost you. It's not just the paper. We all know what ink costs lately. So that's again when money just flows out of your company. You don't know. You walk past it, you say, it's just school product. But if you really start looking at what it actually costs you, you will realize it's time, it's productivity, it is the ink, it's the paper. The person's attention is not at his job, So you just start seeing these things, and this is how the system shows you. And then there's real-time monitoring where you can see, I want to use the example here because it's the easiest way to use the example. So in the case of a company where clients call in a call center, what happens is they call in, and now you open an application because we all want to make it as convenient as possible for our clients and consumers out there, and they can just call in and you fill in the application. The problem is afterwards, when you do these applications, is that, it's the client's word against yours. So I was very excited, I'm going to do this, and I give you all these answers, and you say, well, was that true? Is that real? And I go, I never said that. Now, With this, you can, the moment that I launch the application, I can immediately launch the camera on the computer. I can immediately launch the audio, and I can hear what was said. And the nice part is, when people say we might record you, they say they might record you for a reason, because it's very tough at the moment with technology to go back to that specific recording. You can. But the problem is it's going to take resources, it's going to take a lot of time, and you don't even know whether you will get to that recording. With this solution, you can go to that specific time, that recording, and you can have it on video, you can see what was captured, you can hear what was talked about, everything. From a fraud point of view, again, a story. The assessor went out to go and look at a claim, and what he did, the client, the insurance company used the system, and when he opened his tablet, they actually recorded and make a video and an audio, and they could hear he say, well, you know, I'll give you, say, $100,000 for this, but we will split. The actual claim is only like $10,000, and they will split the difference between them. This is happening, guys, and you know, we can't ignore it anymore. So that is real-time monitoring, knowing what's going on in your organization. Okay, and then there is data discovery. Data addressed is shared on a drive, and it's indexed and flagged as confidential. So when a person starts downloading stuff or copying stuff from those servers, you will be able to see what did they copy. You can see who opened it. You can see who copied it. You can see who pasted it, who saved it. You can see everything. A guy did some printing at the office, and it was actually the salary increases for the board of directors. And he tried to print the document, and then he left and he went to another office, and he forgot that he kind of didn't collect the printout. And then somebody in the office obviously got hold of that information, and they start sharing it, and the repercussions wasn't good. I mean, there was a lot of problems. It was leaked outside into the media, and it was a nightmare. So by knowing what's going on now, you can see who printed it, you can see who started sharing it, you can see who scanned it, you can see a lot of things that you couldn't see in normal circumstances. And then there's the normal investigating of mail and database archives. The system keeps all the mails. And it indexes it so that you can do quick searches. So I'm not going to talk about too much in investigating the mail. We all know how it works, that there must be metadata, there must be a lot of things around that. So from that perspective, it is like keeps all the mails from when the software is deployed, and then it will index it for all your searches. Okay, risk management framework. Why is this so important? First of all, it will identify your weak spots. It will give you a flow of employee activities. It gives you corporate data analysis, incident management, risk prevention, fraud detection. I mean, the list just continues and continues. What I like about the system is that you all of a sudden get a very holistic view of what's going on. It's not bits and pieces. You don't need to go and get a bit of that information out of that system, and you might get a few information from there. Now, in one system, you can have a holistic view. You can see what's the anomalies. You can spot it. You can track it. You can, what will I call it, dot it, so you know who's talking to who about what. So you will know exactly what's going on in your business. And I think a tool like that for fraud and risk managers is really something they can't go without. So, yeah, that's about me. I'm going to hand over to Vita. And thank you for everybody for listening to me. We will be in contact with you guys. And, yeah, I would love to POC this with all of you and show you more. And I'm sure that Vita will show you how easy it is to use the system. Have a lovely day. I'm going to hand over now.
I'm really happy that you're all here to listen to us and to know a bit more about our product. So to continue Jorina's presentation, I would love to show a couple of cases, real cases, on how our system can be used. And you will indeed see how easy it is and how fast moving from one little thing our system alerted to you to another. You will perform the overall investigation and you will find different kinds of violations. So what you can see on the desktop now is our system, but for working with information and investigating something, actually, we're going to use only two of them: SearchInform Alert Center and Analytic Console. Alert Center is the part that gives us alerts, incidents, that something suspicious has happened, and Analytic Console helps to investigate it further, which we're going to see right now. The first case I'm going to show you. So this is how our Alert Center looks like. And this is the first policy that is created to find people mentioning bad words. I will show you how it works. In security policy settings, we have search criteria. So if we open this criteria, we are going to see that there is a huge list of words that will help us to find people who are dissatisfied with something, who in their conversations, emails, and so on are using bad words. This is how it is set up. And then in case we move to Incidents tab, we are going to see actual results. For instance, the first conversation is captured in Skype, as we can see, and we can see this conversation. What is it? Year-end bonuses for the tops, oh wow, for real. And then you can see words from the dictionary being found by the system and highlighted. What we can do is also move from one word to another to see actual part we're interested in, where those words are mentioned. Here we see that people are discussing this document that shows amounts of bonuses, and they're clearly unhappy about it. So for investigating it further, we would move to Analytic Console to see what exactly has happened. With the right click, I can choose Console. And we can see this same conversation we found in Alert Center in its native view. So just the way it was in real life. Obviously, these two people are discussing a document, and one of them sent this document to another. The peculiarity of our system is that we have conversations, attachments, voice conversations separately. So we would need to see all the correspondence history between these two Skype users to find this document and see what exactly was on it. With the right click, I will choose an option Correspondence History. And as we see now, we have two results, this very same conversation, and down here there is a file in a native view as well. I can make it a little bit bigger for us to see what exactly is written over there. And here, bonuses for the management. We can see names of those who are part of the top management and their year bonuses. Our two users, Emma Morris and Alex Holmes, were unhappy about in the conversation. So in such cases, it is critical to solve two main tasks. Now that we see that this document that is actually secret was somehow found and transmitted further. So the first one is, who was the source of leakage? And the second one, how many people have already checked out this document? For solving the second question, we have an option called content root. With the right click, having this document, I can open content root. And with this option, we will see who transmitted this document to who and in which order. So Emma was the first one to get this document. Then she passed it to Alex by Skype in the conversation we've seen with you. Then Alex passed it to Tom, and Tom to one more unknown Viber in the messenger called Telegram. Now we at least have an image of who had access to this document and who've seen this information. But we still have the first question left, where Emma got this document from. For finding it out, we can detect or like take the text from this document, move into text only tab. This is possible thanks to our OCR system that is built in and that allows us to extract text from different documents. For that reason, I'm going to copy this text and use our patented kind of search, which is called similar content search. With this kind of search, I can just enter all the text I'm interested to find, set the relevance in percent. I will set 30% of relevance, just in case. And I will also choose modules in which I want to find them. I believe this can be found somewhere in conversations or probably printed. So I will check those modules and try to find an information. Indeed, we received 5 results. We can see the very same document. I'll make it a bit bigger for you to see as well. Telegram, Skype, and Viber are conversations we've seen previously, so when this document was sent over to different people. But we haven't seen these first two. The document has been printed. We can check by username that Stanley Meyer printed this document. We also can see this name in the actual document we're trying to find out, so we know for sure that Stanley Meyer is a part of top management. He's a top manager. And what has happened, and we can see it with timing as well, is that he first sends this document for printing to printer Office 1, which probably was a mistake because 2 minutes later, as seen here, he sent the very same document to printer Office 2. When he printed this document on printer Office 1, the secretary, Emma Morris, which we've seen previously, found this document and passed it further in Skype, and this is how this data leakage started. So this is a very clear example of how people being uncareful might lead to serious problems, serious data leakage, and a lot of employees being unsatisfied might lead to very bad consequences for the company. This was case number 1. I would also like to show you how we can use different parts of our program. For instance, we have reporting part. I will move to reports tab. And sometimes we might find people performing forgery of documents. This is example I'm going to show you. We have a group called Program Controller Reports, which gives us full information on processes and websites people in the company worked in. The report I'm going to start with is total time of processes activity. What I can see here is with filters applied, so in 2 weeks, all our users spend 32%, almost 33% of their work time in Office programs, 31% more in other programs, which can be detailized and seen with the right click, 19% in mail programs, 13% more in messengers, and then there is quite a little activity, but still it might be interesting for us in multimedia. Multimedia is by default unproductive work, so it is interesting for us to see who exactly used those programs. With the right click, I'm going to detailize and drill down to users. Most of the activity was done by Nancy Hall, 20 hours, 50 minutes in 2 weeks. But Nancy works in creative department, so this is part of might be part of her job to use different processes and websites that are part of multimedia. And then we have Martha Carter, who is purchase manager, and she spent 2 hours and 5 minutes in some processes that are related to multimedia, which is not really a work activity. With the right click, I can detailize further, drill down to processes to see what exactly was this process she worked in for 2 hours. This appears to be Photoshop. Absolutely not related with the job of purchase manager, and I would like to see also when exactly it happened, in a couple of days, or she used it just once. So I will drill down to days as well. All of the activity happened on one day, all 2 hours and 5 minutes. And now that I know she was using this program once for quite a while, 2 hours is a lot in one day, I would like to see why exactly and what was the activity she performed. With the right click, I can move to search for data, and I would pick monitor controller to have screenshots and videos proving me and showing me what exactly has happened. So we can see a lot of screenshots and videos. A lot of screenshots and videos with all activity in Photoshop this user had, Martha had, and this is where we have video. So I would like to start it and see what exactly happened. I will just make it a little bit faster for us not to watch it forever. And here we can see a video of Martha's monitor. To understand activity with this process being active with Photoshop. So we obviously see that she uploaded a document. Being a purchase manager, she obviously has a lot of things to do with commercial offers and documents like that. Office supplies commercial offer. And she starts to work with this document. What she's doing is obviously that she's changing numbers in the documents that has already been sent. She's making those numbers bigger, higher, and taking into account her position, what is going on and what we can understand is that she received offers from many suppliers. And one of those suppliers promised to give her cash back in case they win. So what she's doing now is she's making prices higher for other suppliers, for the supplier who gave her that offer to win. The final sum of money will be the smallest from the supplier who's going to give her cash back, and of course it will be chosen. So she will gain profit for it. She will receive more money, even though this supplier probably can be not the best one. And we clearly can see that the prices were changed and the total sum will be changed as well, which is obviously a harsh violation of security rules and internal rules of the company. So, which can be, again, easily detected with the help of our program. And today, I think I will finish with this one because everything is quite clear from the video. I would like to show you one more case that is related to personal data and laws concerning personal data to be controlled, to be monitored, and we can detect and find it out right here. So we will start with Alert Center again, a different policy. This security policy is used to search for personal data, in particular mobile phone numbers sent over various channels. First, I again will show you how exactly this security policy is created. Here we use regular expressions that help us to find any kind of data written in a specific way according to some algorithm. So UK phone number is chosen. This is the regular expression itself. And the system will consider as an incident only if at least 3 mobile phone numbers are sent at one time. Because obviously, if I send an email, for example, with my contacts, I might have 1 or 2 phone numbers. This is not a violation. But if we have at least 3 or more phone numbers in one document sent over, this might be suspicious. So again, we are moving to Incidents tab. And we see that we have 2 incidents from different channels. One is from webmail and the other one is from device. Both of them go from the same user, Paul Jan. And as we can see that the first incident occurred when webmail, just an email, was sent by Paul with 4 records from his documents. We can see the document in native view as well, and by the document name and extension we see that this was Excel file with 4 records. This is information about people, about users, including their phone numbers, positions, and additional information that is most probably secret. The second incident here was detected when Paul Jan copied data loaded from internal corporate system to his media device. And here we have way more information. Of course, we need to investigate this, understand why, when, and where he copied and sent this information. I suggest that we start with an email. With the right click, again, I move to analytical part, analytic console. Seeing this email more detailed, we can understand by the subject of the letter that this is Paul's reply to some previous email. Of course, we would like to see the whole conversation. This is why we again will use an option called correspondence history and try to see all the communication. Of course, it's better for us to start with the beginning. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the first email in here. Okay, so now we see the whole line of how the conversation was going. The first email was sent to Paul, and it says, to continue our conversation, I want to reply positively that we're interested in obtaining such information. But firstly, we'd like to see an example of pooled data. Then, this is the first reply, an email we've started to investigate. Paul answers, hello, sure, you can check it in the attached file. I hope this format is convenient for you. And he is sending an attachment we were working with. This is our Excel document that was sent over. As an answer, he receives a message which says, this is just what we need. The format is absolutely all right. When can we get the rest? Are there more values of selection criteria? And Paul answers, hello, I will email you in the nearest future. Now we have only these values, but we soon plan to extend the list of our designated subjects and detect preferred communication channels: phone, Telegram, WhatsApp, Instagram, etc. Analyzing the traffic usage by user. Now we can make conclusions. So obviously he sent those first documents, and then in Alert Center, the second incident we had happened a bit later. So he was trying to copy data to his external device, and it obviously has way more information than the 4 values we've seen previously. It has data on a lot of users. And we can see that he copied it obviously with attempt to send it over further. So this is obviously a data leakage of personal data, which is a huge violation. But Also, one more thing we have, now we know that Paul tried to copy this information to USB device, but with our system, we can also make restrictions and blockings on devices. So what happened in this particular case is that our general setting for device is that we enable data encryption. That means that when specified users copy data to their USB devices, this data automatically becomes encrypted. As we can see in this list, Jan is one of these users whose data we encrypt. So as a result, when he's copying any documentation from his work computer to external device, this document becomes encrypted. And the only way he's going to see this information again is to connect this device to computer with our agent, with our system, being logged as Paul Jan. So whenever, if he takes this device further with that information and tries to open it on his personal computer, for example, he will fail to do so because encrypted documents are closed from external users and just will not be opened. So he will not see them, even though he was copying this information. This is probably the last example I wanted to describe to you today. Thank you very much for your attention.